pulling cars. Was like, we're all gonna die. He was like, look at all these boats behind me. We need an ark. Somebody's got to build an ark. It was ridiculous, right?
Alrighty, welcome back. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, the Financial Guys, the place where money meets politics, and the theme very similar to our radio show that we do on iHeartRadio, radio.com, Wham, and WBEN, and soon to be in Syracuse, New York. So, I think it was a message from the above because we were going back and forth. Do we do Syracuse? Do we not do Syracuse? And then somebody literally from Syracuse, New York, sent us a license plate that said "No more Como."
That was a nice.
Literally,
nice
the day we were going back and forth, I thought, "Oh my God, that's got to be a message." So it would be soon to be found in Syracuse, New York, and we're going to be all over the place today. I have no idea where you want to start. That tornado, by the way. Holy cow!
Or tornado?
The hurricane. I keep saying tornado because I saw a weatherman, and he was trying to explain the eye of that tornado, and I guess it was a 15-mile Category 3 tornado. That's what that is. Imagine that. That's a 15-mile tornado, basically, coming at you.
Well, it hit as a Cat 4.
Amazing.
Why does that always hit New Orleans? Like, what did they do in a prior life? It's got to be the. I've never heard him talk about this, but you got to assume
the center missed New Orleans, though. The center missed it, but
you got to wonder though. Like, it goes out to the Gulf, and then it kind of whatever direction it's going, it like right to New Orleans. And I just wonder, like, I've never heard him talk about this, but is it the flow of the river? Is it the water temperature coming out of the Mississippi? Is there there's got to be something about following does it want to stay over water, and that's why it kind of follows that track? I don't know.
Yeah,
I've never heard them talk about it though.
Like
You'd think they would study something like that, but maybe they do, and I just missed it.
Well, they're studying shrimp on a treadmill right now.
Oh, well, that makes sense. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and they're doing gender studies in Afghanistan. That worked out pretty well. What a disaster that is. I mean, we're out now, right? Today we're doing this podcast early. It's the 30th today. Tomorrow.
Did you see the video of the soldier that I sent you? Screaming at.
I did
look
see
at
one.
Your text messages.
I saw one. Yeah, I did see one of them.
Say we should play it. We would definitely have to play it.
It's just so sad.
All kinds of stones this guy has because I think he's already been banned from the military. But he basically said these lives are in your hands. These deaths are in the blood is on your hands, my friend. You killed my friends and family. And, of course, some of Biden's supporters start yelling, Joe, 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 Joe. Like, these are people.
Morons. Brain dead.
There's two of them, and these guys are like, look, I was over there. I was fighting for your freedom, right? Like, give me a break.
These Democrats that support Joe Biden still are dumber than dirt. I don't know what else to say about it. It's so sad because it didn't have to be this way. And for all those Democrats, I know they're not watching this, I'm sure, but no. Everybody knows these folks, right? Everyone's got friends or family or the relative that's the Democrat. And here's what you hear. Well, this was Trump's plan. No, this wasn't Trump's plan, you moron.
Trump was on video actually saying we cannot pull out fast. We put it on our Facebook page. He said we cannot pull out fast. This has got to be very skilled, and we've got to be very patient with how we're going to pull out. And of course, you've got to use your military.
Yeah, Trump's plan was to pull out this year, but it wasn't to pull out all of your military first. Trump's plan was not to close, as far as I'm aware. I'm assuming not, because Trump is smart at making these types of plans.
Right.
I'm assuming we would not have, if Trump was in charge, we wouldn't have shut down Bagram Air Base. We would have used that to evacuate people, not the airport. The airport is effectively shut down now. They basically said gates are shut. We left over 300 Americans behind, thousands of Afghan interpreters and workers that assisted the U.S. that are allies. We gave the Taliban the list of them, including the biometric information, the fingerprints and facial scans.
I think you'll find everything here.
It's
Wallet
insane.
inspector.
It's nuts what we did. Trump would have never done that, right? Trump would have left Bagram Air Base open to the very last second. He would have gotten all the material out of there. I saw a video, Mike, where they're flipping through cash. They've got pallets of cash. They're opening up envelopes that are not even envelopes. They're sealed plastic. And each one's probably got to have 10 grand in it. They open it up, they pull out, and it's all brand new $100 bills, courtesy of the taxpayer.
Wow.
Thousands of AR-15s and small arms. They've got more helicopters now, more Black Hawk helicopters does the Taliban have than 85 countries around the world,
That's
courtzy
scary.
of the U.S. taxpayer and the
How
moron in
scary
the
is
White
that?
House.
How
and the sick thing
incompetent
is,
could you possibly be
no
to
one's
leave that back
resigned.
there?
No one's been fired. No one's resigned.
No, that's what
no one's
Democrats
going to
don't do
lose their
that.
job over such incompetence. Trump would have never let that happen. He would have gotten all the people out first. He would have gotten all the civilians out. He would have gotten all the equipment out. And then likely he would have left Bagram Air Base and then bombed the crap out of it so it was leveled to the ground.
Yep.
And then said, bye-bye, we're out of here.
Yeah.
The likelihood is, though, and what I would have done, honest to God, and if not that I'm I will ever be the president of the king, right? But honestly, I'd have built a castle. Build a castle. Build the most fortified place.
You make safe zones, right? We've talked about that for
Just build the most fortified
decades.
place you could make, and that's where you house 5,000 Marines, and that's what we're going to do.
Instead of bringing over Afghan refugees, which, by the way, are not being vetted, or terrorists, right?
I mean,
first of all, a lot of these people forget about COVID. They've got bugs. They've got all kinds of stuff going on. There's no way we can vet these people in this short of a time frame, right? The Obama administration couldn't even build a website. You think they're going to vet these refugees to coming in, right? Let me read this article. Despite promises, it's the same evil Taliban. This was Michael Dershowitz. Soon after taking control of Kabul and therefore Afghanistan, Taliban militants held a news conference at which they vowed to respect women's rights. Soon after, the extremist group was accused of setting a woman on fire due to bad cooking for the Taliban fighters and beating a destitute woman to death because she didn't have enough food to feed the terrorist before tossing a grenade at her corpse. This is who is now running Afghanistan.
This is who we're relying upon.
And by the way, the Chinese have said we should work together with them. The U.S. should fund this. The U.S. should send over aid.
Yeah, we will.
Screw you.
And we will. When we will. That's the sick thing.
Well,
we haven't given them
we've
enough
already
money.
left them. We've already left them bundles of cash, right?
Right. It's insanity. It really is insanity. What we have done here in Afghanistan is an absolute travesty.
Yeah.
This is the worst military debacle since Vietnam, and I think it's worse than what happened in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And honestly, this will lead to over at least 100,000 deaths in the near term.
Yeah.
I'm talking. You want to talk deaths due to COVID? Here we're going to lose. We'll
Not
probably
even
have
close.
100,000
Won't
people
even
killed
close.
by Thanksgiving in Afghanistan because they're already slaughtering anybody who, and they have the information. Interestingly enough, maybe coincidence. I don't know. I don't have an inside track. I'm not Dan Bongino who has military friends or intelligence connections, but it just seems awfully coincidental that our CIA chief goes over there, has a meeting with the Taliban, and then leaves. And the next day you find out that the Taliban have been given all of the information for our allies and our armed force, the rest of our military.
How could you be that stupid? It's got to be a
sad.
plan. You can't be that dumb. You cannot be that dumb. The whole plan on this, which was no plan.
No.
There
was no plan.
It blows
The
my
fact is,
mind to think that the United States of America, with all the resources, with all the taxes we would pay. Oh, by the way, 61% of Americans now not paying any federal
we'll talk
taxes.
about that because that's
the
tipping
spillover,
point.
man.
That's
the tipping point.
That's definitely the tipping point. But going back to Afghanistan, Trump had things in place like a rapid response unit that was ready to
They
in case something
dismantled
went
it.
wrong. They dismantled it in June. Why would they do that? So the Biden administration basically took all of Trump's plans that were already in place, either dismantled them or turned them on their head. Trump was going to get the civilians out first. Biden decided to do that last. Trump would have gotten the equipment out next. Biden decides to leave it behind. Trump would have kept Bagram Air Base open instead of using the stupid airport. Biden decides the opposite. It's as if the only thing this administration knows how to do is the opposite of what Trump did. Trump builds a wall, we stop building the wall. Right? Asylum in Mexico,
Trump
no,
bad.
now in this country. It's like they just because it's honest to God, it's Trump derangement syndrome.
But you couldn't do it any worse. I mean, I just can't. I can't think of. I can't
Those
think of a
300
reason
people are
why.
stuck there now.
Right,
300 Americans are stuck behind enemy lines. We left them behind.
Years. I can't get my arms around why in the world you would be so incompetent. I mean, there's just no reason for it. No reason for it. You never do that, right? Now, this would have never ever happened under Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he would have circled Afghanistan with the finest Air Force people and said, if you get out of your cave and you think you're going to burn women because they're not cooking right for you, we're going to blow up your cave and you're not going to see it ever again, right? Bye-bye. They would have threatened them that we would have never had any of this incompetence. And to your point, a 6-year-old could say, okay, here's how we're going to structurally pull people out of Afghanistan.
This wasn't rocket science. This wasn't rocket science. Biden messed it up. It's not even Biden. You can't even Biden is not running the show. So I keep saying Biden, but really it's the handlers.
Joe doesn't even know he's there.
I really want to know who keeps telling him not to take questions. Right? He's talking about the Hurricane Ida. I'm not. I was told not to take any questions, but go ahead anyways. Mr. President, about Afghanistan. I'm not taking Afghanistan. I'm out of here, and he leaves. Right? Who's telling him not to take questions?
The media is so corrupt. Right?
Oh,
we did it last week. Was it last week or the week before? We were talking about, Joe, here's the questions we're going to ask you, but here's how I think you should answer it.
Right.
I mean, they're just going to defend his incompetence until
But who's telling
he's
him
gone.
this? Who's giving him the instructions, Mike? Who's saying to Biden, don't take questions, Joe?
I'm sure
You're not to take
Obama,
questions, Joe.
I'm sure Obama and his clans, I'm sure that's who's running it. I mean, Obama was on video saying, boy, he would love to be president still as long as he could find a puppet to like move his arms and talk.
Well, there you go.
He found one.
Yeah.
He found one.
I mean, when you look at people like Valerie Jarrett, whose father was a card-carrying communist, you just have to wonder, like, are they doing this on purpose? Because it's hard to be this incompetent.
No,
right?
you can't be this dumb.
This is like slapstick. And if it was, it wouldn't. It's not funny, obviously, but this is like Mr. Magoo, where he just falls over everything, and the fact that we lost 13 American soldiers is absolutely tragic. I heard a woman call into the one of the radio stations. The Marine showed up at her door 4:00 in the morning. He was 20 years old. He was expecting to come home to celebrate the birth of his new first child in a couple of months. I mean, this is just absolutely tragic. And he's not even going to take a question, and no one's going to lose no one gets fired, no one's held accountable.
I'll show you who got fired.
13 Americans dead. By the way, hold on.
Play that video if you can. Play that video if you can.
13 Americans dead. You know the last time we lost this many Americans? It was August of 2011. You know what happened August 2011? They shot down the helicopter that carried SEAL Team 6. You know which idiot in Washington outed SEAL Team 6? Joe Biden did. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden did, because after they killed bin Laden over that weekend, the very next week and that Monday, this idiot, and Joe Biden is an absolute moron. This moron is out there giving a speech, and he accidentally says SEAL Team 6. He outs them, and then goes on to work with Hollywood so they can write a movie about it, allowing the Taliban or the ISIS or the Al Qaeda, whatever the hell they are called at the time, to shoot down and target that specific helicopter. Interestingly enough, and nobody ever looked into this, who gave the terrorists the information from the military? Who leaked it that SEAL Team 6 was on that helicopter? We lost a huge chunk of that Special Forces team because of the incompetence and the idiocy of Joe Biden. His fault again. So,
and Democrats, right? But they'll talk about Benghazi. Go back to Benghazi, and
this is their policy: cut and run.
Leadership. That's exactly right. Play that video, Glenn. This is exactly spot on, because your question was who lost their job. I'll tell you who lost their job. This veteran who has served us.
Which one just
and fought for us forever. Right. Here, I'll send it to you. I think he was a 17-year veteran in the service.
This one right here. Yeah, this
over in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
This is who played this. Let's see if we can play this video quick.
Let me back up to the beginning.
I'm an Air Force veteran. We're just wondering why we should focus voted for a war and a new war. Thousands of our brothers and sisters.
It's hard to hear. There's a lot of background noise.
You also gave a medal to a man who fought that war and caused that war. Your blood is on your hands. You're my friends are dead. Because of your fault. So is my son. For years. That doesn't matter, right? No, it doesn't matter to me. It matters a lot to me. I'm sure it does. I'm not going after your son. I'm not. I'm not going after your son. You're disqualified, sir. Disqualified. The blood is on your hands. Blood is on your hands. No. My brothers and sisters died in Iraq and Afghanistan. And you enabled that to happen.
So now in typical KGB fashion, they're labeling him having mental issues.
I'm sure.
This is what the KGB does, right? The KGB will destroy your life if you go against the narrative. And that's what our government does now. That's what we have in the FBI. That's what we have in the CIA.
Yep.
Again, the CIA director went over to Afghanistan for a meeting with the Taliban for some reason and leaves. And I guess he forgot to bring the list of all of our soldiers and our civilians and our allies over there. How does that happen? Here's another one from the FBI. This is just this past week, it turns out. Where do I find this one here? Oh, here it is. The FBI funded white supremacist publisher for 15 years, 16 plus years. The FBI paid a publisher of a white supremacist literature more than $144,000 to serve as a confidential informant. Sure, they did. And what information did they get from this guy? Nothing. Nothing. Here's $150,000. Go do your website. That's called enabling, folks. That's not getting information. That's called enabling. So you can say, look at there, see, and they can bust them whatever they want and say, hey, we got him. He's a white supremacist.
Because there couldn't be people on that website just trying to follow him to see what he's up to.
That's what we have now.
Not necessarily a racist, just saying, look at these guys nuts. I'm going to follow him, right? Like a car wreck, right? That's entrapment. That's his
that's what the FBI does now.
Exactly. Everything with the FBI should not be about, right?
If it wasn't for the FBI, in most of these cases, there wouldn't be a plot. I mean, let's be honest here. In the Michigan case, it was
shoot
like
up Texas.
2-1.
Go for it.
Yeah, Garland, Texas. I think you should shoot somebody in Texas this weekend. Oh, okay. I mean, again, here's the gun to do it, and there's the target to do it. And I'm not going to tell anybody we had this conversation, and they didn't. They didn't. No. It wasn't for a crack shot of private security who was there. Lots of people could have got killed in Garland, Texas.
Now they should be focused on the actual tips that they're getting from actual really people that are going to hurt other people, mentally ill people, right? Instead, they're out trying to bait these people. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, the FBI is the arm of the Democrat Party.
And get nowhere. That's your point. $150,000 later, they got no information, nothing out of it. Not a penny. Yep.
But there wouldn't be plots. There wouldn't have been a Michigan plot had it not been for the 2-1, 3-1 FBI agents, like 10 FBI agents and 4 morons that go along with the plot.
Yep.
There wouldn't be a plot had they not planned and made the plot. The difference is you're making the plot. Here's a good idea. Let's go. Do damage to this bridge. I'm going to I'm going to have all the plans to do it. I already sourced the material. I already got all the things lined up.
I
just need someone to plug in and make the patsy.
That's right.
That's our FBI now, folks. Yeah. That's what we have in this country. That's what
and then when they do it, right-wing extremists.
You're right. That's what passes for equal justice in our country now, right?
Yeah.
What a joke.
Pfizer vaccine for kids seeks approval by winter. This is going to be a big one. We'll see. The parents really have not fought with the mask mandates. There's been it's amazing to me how many parents have just said, throw a mask on my kid. That's fine. Let them breathe in their own oxygen for a while. We'll see if they fight this vaccine mandate. It is absolutely amazing to me. I've heard story after story after story. We've had 6 death certificates in our office, by the way, from not people that work with us, but we have a very, very large retail client base. So I would say, Glenn, we're a pretty good sampling of what's going on out there. Because we have so many retail clients, we could see there's only one that anybody's actually saying, yeah, that probably was COVID. The rest of them were things like cancer throughout their body, right? But I'm amazed at that these parents. We've had a bunch of clients that have had the shot and have had negative reactions to it. Yeah. We had one client that was in the hospital for 3 weeks. Right? You have a relative that second shot didn't work out so well. We had one client whose son, his head blew up. His head swelled up. Now, I got to be honest with you. I've had the flu shot a few times in my life. I think 2 or 3. Never once have I heard anybody going to get the normal flu shot and their head swelling up, right? There's some negative consequences to this thing. And it blows my mind to think these kids with a 0% chance of dying, right? This is not 1 in 4 or 1 in 10 or 1 in 100, right? It's a 0% chance of dying. Most of them have already had COVID.
Yeah.
Just didn't know it.
That's the kicker right there. See, that's the kicker right there.
Yes.
Because there's no acknowledgement of folks that have had previous infections with COVID. Because the Cleveland Clinic study, 40-some thousand people they studied, the last 100 years of basically known medical research, there is no really debate about this. I haven't found anybody in the medical community that says the vaccine is better than natural immunity, and yet we're completely ignoring natural immunity. Why would you completely ignore natural immunity? Now, in Israel, and you got to look at the other countries to see what might happen here, right? You look at Israel. Now, if you have had both vaccinations, you are no longer considered fully vaccinated.
Now you need another one.
Now you need a third one within 6 months. Here's what I think, Mike, and this is something that I don't think I hear enough people talking about. Number one, why is the same amount of vaccine, why do you give that to a 300-pound person the same as you would give an 80-pound kid? Right? Wouldn't you adjust the dosage? They're not doing that, right?
No.
The second thing I would say is the people that I know that had gotten sick, for the most part, had the vaccine within a very short period of time, whether it be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They recommend 3 weeks. Some people got a little bit sooner just because of their travel schedule. Some people got it later. The people that got it sooner or on time, it's an overload to your system. My opinion, I'm not a doctor, but here's but just by looking and using common sense, it seems as if they're giving people too much of this, right? So it's because I've had other vaccinations, like the hepatitis vaccination, because there was an outbreak in restaurants in Florida. We go out to restaurants in Florida a lot, so my doctor recommended it. Talked about this in the past. I said, sure, risks outweigh the reward outweighs the risk, right? But it was one shot, and then 6 months later, another shot. Now, I know all vaccinations are different, but I think the rush to get 2 shots into people as fast as possible, I don't think that was the right answer. I think it probably should have been one shot and then maybe a month or two later, maybe 3 months, another shot. Look, again, I'm not anti-vax. I think that if you are over 60, over 70, the people that are over 60 or 70, if you look at the numbers, and again, you have to go in and take out all the heart attacks, car accidents, just old age in general, stuff like that. But if you added all those in, based on what they're reporting, you're looking at a 95% survival rate. That means 5% death rate is pretty high for people over age 70. So assuming that that's half, still a 2.5% death rate is pretty high for people over 70. If I were over 70, I'd get the vaccination, no question, right? But I wouldn't do it within 2 weeks. I'd get one shot, and then I'd wait a month to get the other shot. But again, talk to your doctor, do what the medical doctors say. But
why is there no focus on health, right? And I'm not saying
that's right. Vitamins, weight loss.
You force everybody to go out and work out or whatever. That's their own choice. But I mean, wouldn't that be the message that the government should be talking about? Is look at maybe now is the time to take your vitamins, right?
Yeah,
maybe now is the time to
go
for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Go out for a walk and take some, right. But no mention of that.
Just stick this drug in your arm. It's all, because here's what's happened.
In fact, they shut the gyms down knowing that there was almost a 0% chance of transfer, right? It
Outrageous.
was 1 point something percent. No different than it was if you safer than if you stayed in your house, right? But yet they shut them down. Doesn't make any sense.
Outrageous.
Not a penny of
sense.
sense.
As you said early on, why is the vitamin aisle full but the toilet paper aisle is empty? Like there's something not right here, right? There's something not right. But here's the thing. Here's what I think happened, Mike. Sometime in the last 20 years, I don't know when or where it happened. Maybe it was a Supreme Court decision that allowed corporations to make unlimited donations to political candidates. I believe that probably was the tipping point, to be honest with you, because prior to that, the Democrats would go after the big lobbying groups like the unions, right? Because it was a big pool of money, right?
Yep.
The UAW and the teachers union, they can give a crap ton of money through their dues to the Democrat Party. And then there was that court case. I don't remember the name of the court case, famous court case, where the Supreme Court decided that the limits on corporations was a restriction of free speech. And once corporations started being able to donate huge amounts of money to candidates, I think these corporations that used to be aligned with Republicans very quickly realized that it's a lot easier to buy off Democrats, right? And people like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, really easy to buy off Democrats, right? Remember, it was a Democrat and Bill Clinton that launched the antitrust investigation against Microsoft.
Yep.
That was before that court case decision that allowed Microsoft to write a real big fat check now to Nancy Pelosi Democrats. You will never see them. They'll talk a good game about going after Facebook and Britain. They won't do a thing.
No,
they won't do a thing because the Democrats are money whores is what they are. They will take
just as
whatever
valuable
money,
as owning NBC and
biggest
ABC.
Check, right? What was that court case? Somebody help me out here. Kels, look that up and send it to me, would you? It was a huge court case. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it, but nevertheless, that created, I believe, this unholy alliance where the tables have shifted. And now the Republican Party is aligned more with the working class person that actually pays taxes.
Right.
And the Democrats are just they don't have to be aligned with the working class. They don't need them, right? They can pander to some minority groups, right? And they can get huge money donations from Amazon, Microsoft, big tech, Facebook, and the like, right? Do you find it?
Citizens United
There
versus
you go.
Federal Election
Thank you.
Commission.
What
Yep.
year was that? 2003?
2010 is when it went through, it looks
I thought
like.
that was a lot earlier.
It was argued in 2009 and decided in 2010.
All right, well,
Yeah.
there you go. So since
Yeah.
that point, it seems as if the tides have turned. Now,
No doubt.
Pfizer,
It's turned all right.
Pfizer
It's
is
turned
also
all
in bed
right.
as a big corporation, right?
Sure.
What does Pfizer want? Well, Pfizer wants as many jabs in your arm as they can get, right? They're the
Did
ones
you-
making this stuff.
I'm sure this has changed, but the CEO of Pfizer didn't get a shot. Did you see that? The shot was
Yeah,
out
that was
for
December,
months.
but yeah, he ended up getting it, I think, in March. I did see that, but
Wouldn't he be first in line as the guinea
he
pig?
didn't want to
you know?
cut like Como did. He didn't want to get in front of the line like Como and his friends did. But
Gotcha.
But anyway,
Gotcha.
and by the way, and not to backtrack, but we had a Steve Cohen, great attorney in Western New York, talk about, well, Kathy Hochul hasn't done anything yet. She was just lieutenant governor. First day in office,
First
mask
day.
mandates across the
Mask
state.
mandate
Thank
for
you
everybody.
for that. So I'd love to
Yep.
get him back on and talk about that. The second thing,
Yep.
by the way, not to switch gears suddenly, but 12,000 more deaths, right? So she
Yeah.
knew the whole time, right?
Right.
The first day
Right.
she takes
Apparently-
over, she adjusts
Apparently, her
the
role
numbers.
is to just as second in line to Andrew Cuomo. Your role is to just shut your mouth and not do anything. I guess.
But so
'Cause that's-
obviously, how many other people in the administration knew that they were undercounting by 12 to 15,000 deaths?
Everybody.
Right? Everybody? Right? Because the
Everybody.
first day, not even an investigation. I'm going to look into
Everybody.
this. I think I should revise this
And
right away.
here's the crazy thing is those 12,000 are legitimate deaths. Those are people that we knew we forced sick people
Right.
back into a nursing home next to them, right? Now, most of those deaths there's 600 and something deaths. Most of them are not legitimate. They are not legit. These are people that had all kinds of pre-existing conditions, and COVID maybe put them over the top, but they were probably dying anyways. People in a nursing home, though, we knew that they were sick. We knew that these were the ones
Well, they
that
were
were
the
most
vulnerable.
likely.
Yeah.
Yes, they were the vulnerable. They were the most likely to die from COVID, right? By far. They're masking up the 5-year-old with a 0% chance of dying, but yet, he
there's-
shoved sick people.
Right.
But to your point, Kathy Hochul's on. Where was she? Where was she? I mean, I would have a lot more respect for her if she was out over the last 12 months saying this is BS, this is garbage. He put these people back in a nursing home. He was spending time writing his book instead of fighting to try to help bring back New York. Never a word. Never a word.
No
They just
justice
said-
anymore.
Nah,
There's
she's got the Democrat playbook, which is write big checks to Democrats, write big checks to Facebook and some of the tech companies. They'll write a lot of stuff back to me, and make sure you say you want to defund the police and help the children,
Right.
and move on from there. And you're going to build some roads and bridges along the way, but you're never going to build.
So nobody held accountable in the Cuomo administration for lying about the deaths. Nobody held accountable in the Biden administration for the deaths of 13 Americans and 300 plus people left behind, Americans left behind,
Sick,
and
man.
not to mention the
Sick,
thousands
man.
of Afghans left behind, right?
Yeah, they're
Nobody's
still
going to lose their job.
wiretapping President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, I'm sure.
But General Milley is going to. Meanwhile, Chase Bank just canceled General Flynn's credit cards. Right, that's what they're doing now. This is
Sick.
this is where we're going, folks. If you want to know how Nazi Germany happened, watch
Yep,
the
this
police
is
in
it.
Australia kick somebody's head in, because that's what they're doing. Watch the Canadian SWAT team block off a highway to arrest a pastor.
How about the lady in Rochester that got arrested for not wearing her mask right?
That was Shannon Joy. She's a radio
Rochester,
personality
New
on
York.
Wham. She's a radio host
Rochester,
on
New
Wham.
York.
Crazy.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Because it was
Disgusting.
here. It was here instead of here. It was
Right.
down here. You know why?
Shouldn't have to wear it at
because
all.
the superintendent is a bully of that school district. I think it's Spencerport School District. The superintendent. These school board presidents and superintendents of these schools are bullies. Is exactly what they are. And it's I hate to say it, but it's time to start bullying these people back. Like
Well, there's
Shannon Joy
half
did.
of them are bullies and half of them are
Show up and confront
stoneless.
these
Let's just
people.
say that.
Show
half
up
of
and
them,
confront these people at the school board.
Yep,
That's what we need to do.
Absolutely.
Don't get
Absolutely.
violent. I'm not saying get violent. I'm saying
No.
show up, speak your mind, and when they try to cut off your microphone, you remind them that you are paying for that microphone. Remember the
Yeah.
famous Ronald Reagan quote? I am paying for this microphone. Don't you dare shut this down. Nobody
Yeah.
cares anymore in Washington. Not the Republicans, Democrats. Now, you mentioned something earlier. 61% of people not paying taxes. It's over if we can't spread out the tax base.
Back up for 1 second,
Sorry.
though, your point about the school districts. No, the point about the school districts, get involved and let these superintendents know that you're going to vote in a board that's going to fire them, right? You have the power to do that. I'm doing that in my town. I'm putting my own time, my money, my resources. We've been very blessed in my town that I've got very educated people that are conservative-thinking people that are willing to step up and run, but I am supporting them, and we are winning these board seats.
Right.
And you can let your supervisor know, hey, guess what? We're coming for your job.
Right.
Hey, see me getting these people into the board? They're going to fire you if you don't start to think like us.
That's right.
It's okay to get involved. At that level, it's probably more important sometimes in these county elections. We forget about our kids in the future and all that. And we've got liberal nut jobs running the school districts, and then we wonder why they're trying to push this woke stuff down our throats. Well, guess what? Nobody showed up for the town election. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. That's how you get Hillary Clinton and you get running the school board. That's how you get Joe Biden on your local school board, right? Because nobody got involved and nobody cares.
Well, speaking of educators, Arnie Duncan, the former education secretary under President Obama, just equated the anti-maskers and people that haven't gotten their vaccination to terrorists. Is what he said in a tweet. He said,
that's right.
They're just like suicide bombers, he said. They blow themselves up and hurt all the people around them because of their beliefs of freedom or something stupid like that.
How irresponsible.
That was the
education
secretary under Obama, Arnie Duncan. That's unbelievable to me. This is who the educators are in this country. It's sickening.
Well, the whole system needs to be dismantled. It needs to be shrunk. Smaller government is key, folks. Getting rid of some of these agencies. They are the swamp. They never stop. They are muddy, yucky, disgusting, and they continue to stay there with their big mega pensions, and their mouth never shuts up. It just continues to go after and crawl and creep, and the mud gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And you're a hunting guy. You've been in swamps. The deeper it is, the harder it is to get out.
It is, yeah. Once you sink past your knees, it's like you're done.
It's over.
You're finished.
It's over. And sinking past your knees, we've always talked about the tipping point in this country being at 50%. If you have 50% of the people, 51% of the people taking and 49% supporting, you are in big trouble. We are at 61%. That's folks.
A huge issue.
And they're not done yet. They're still saying, the top isn't paying enough of their fair share. 61% paying zero federal taxes. That's disgusting, by the way. Disgusting.
The top are going to stop working. The top are going to absolutely stop working. I can tell you, not that I'm going to stop working, but I will slow down. I will. I guarantee you. I mean,
why? What are you going to? You're going to pay 70% of your money at some point? 80% of your money? No.
You know what? I'm almost 50 now, right? I'll be 50 next year. I've like a lot of financial planners, right? You know how to save, right? You save as you go, and you start it early, and I don't need to work 6 days a week and grind it out like we do.
Not to lose an extra 60% of your money.
Obviously enjoy. We're serial entrepreneurs. For those that don't know about Mike and I, we own a number of different companies. We're financial advisors at heart, right? We manage money for a living. That's our primary business. But we've been very blessed to be able to start all these other companies over the years, most of which now are part of the financial group that we're in. We own Independent Solutions, the Financial Guys, Peak Brokerage, Peak Reps, and so on. But over the years, we've done things like Subway restaurants and tax offices, and we just like building businesses. And it's nice to look back and say, you know what, that Subway restaurant right there, that wouldn't be there necessarily without our efforts, right? The economic, output that we created. That is a business that exists there today because we built it. There's tax offices in Hamburg, EG tax offices, Hamburg, Springville, Fredonia, that we built, right? That we put our time and effort in. That's economic output that we created. People have jobs. That's fun. We enjoy doing that, but it's also a lot of work. Guess what? You come to me and say, I'm taking 60% of your earnings. Guess what I say? I guess a little more time on the boat for me. I guess I'm going to spend a little more time in the woods, right? Yeah. Screw off. And that's, unfortunately, there's millions of us across the country that will say, you know what? It's not worth it. And then guess what happens? The economy slows down, right? Yeah. That's how you get 1% to 2% growth rates. Hello, right. Obama years, right?
Less jobs, less opportunity.
Less jobs, less opportunity, less wealth created.
Unfortunately,
right?
These liberals never get the outcomes to their actions, right? They never do.
Because it doesn't affect them most of the time. Not the elites, at least. It affects the poor.
They never do, until it's too late. At some point, At some point, the debt will matter. You can't continue to go from 61 to 70% and then go from 30 trillion to 60 trillion to 80 trillion, right? At some point, that money will be worthless.
But Nancy Pelosi, a slowing economy doesn't affect Nancy Pelosi.
No,
right? A slow economy doesn't affect Jeff Bezos, right? No. A slow economy doesn't do a thing to Warren Buffett, right? But who does it hurt? It hurts the poor, right? Because they're not able to get ahead. It hurts the middle class because they fall behind, right? They start to lose standing economically, and they start to slip into the into the lower socioeconomic scale, right? So it hurts most of Middle America, but and a lot of those Middle Americans are Democrats, but they don't believe it. They blame it on the Republicans. So the Democrats are very good at brainwashing people to place blame. There's a huge sign in my office. We got this from a colleague of ours, speaking of businesses we started. The Peak Reps holding company, a partner of ours, Brian Breisinger, said something to us in a board meeting a long time ago that I turned into a poster and dubbed the Breisinger Matrix of Life. And that is, there are three types of people in this world, and only three. Those that make it happen, those that make excuses why it doesn't happen, and those that wondered what the hell just happened. And most of the world is the third tier, right? They're just going through their life. They're happy-go-lucky, and that's great for them. They go to work. They go home. Everything is good, right? They're not paying attention to politics or watching Dancing with the Stars and that stuff, and that's great. We need those folks to make the world go round. That's a wonderful thing. But that second category is dangerous, right? The category of making excuses. And the Democrats have done a great job in creating a whole bunch of people that make excuses, and they really make excuses for them. They provide the excuses. You can't get ahead because you're black. You can't get ahead because you're a woman. You can't get ahead because of the patriarchy. You can't get ahead because of whatever. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's a constant, here's your excuse why you're unsuccessful. The Democrats provide those excuses to a huge chunk of people, and sadly, that locks them into a cycle oftentimes of poverty and not being able to get ahead because they don't understand that they themselves control their own life. They have been taught to believe that somebody else has the keys to their future. That's so wrong on so many levels, but that's what the Democrats have done.
If you look at Glenn, if you look at the Obama administration, the Biden administration, right? Have you seen I'm sure you have, the T-shirts. Amy got me one, Turn America into Florida. Have you seen those T-shirts?
But just don't New Yorkify Florida. That's what you don't want to do.
But here's what Biden and Obama want to do. They want to turn America into California. Right?
Yeah.
And that's by the way, they're accomplishing that. If you look at the last 24 months and with COVID, and I said this 2 years ago, 2 Marches ago, when the communist U.S. administration took over, I said, watch and see, there will be an upper middle class and a lower middle class. If you look at California, there is an upper middle class and very wealthy, and there's a lower middle class and people, and then poor, right? We've got 17% of the population now in California is homeless, but there's a lower middle class. And people say, what is a lower middle class? Lower middle class is, I can't afford to live here anymore. Glenn can't afford to live here anymore, but we don't want to be homeless. So we're going to share, our families are going to share a 3,000 or a 2,000 square foot house, and we're going to live miserable on top of each other, but that's the only way we can still live. We've still got bread and milk in the fridge and all that stuff, but it's just not a comfortable American lifestyle, right? And if you go to California, there is many families that are bunkered up together because they can have lower middle class. Then there's the upper middle class, right? Many of our clients are moving into that upper middle class. I've been doing reviews with clients over the last 12 months, and I'm like, hey, you're up 200,000, you're up 300,000, right? We took advantage of COVID. Are your milk and cookies up? Yes. Are they up 200,000? No. Are your gas prices up? Yep. Are they up 200,000? No. Well, we beat it. You got better off, right? You're starting to move into that upper middle class. So unfortunately, when you've got a family that's living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and they're trying to put money into their 401k plan so they could be part of that upper middle class. And now you tell them, hey, your fuel prices have doubled, your food prices have doubled. They say, I can't afford to even put 1% into my 401k plan, and they never get ahead. And that's who becomes poorer and poorer and poorer. And you're seeing that divide. If there was 2 T-shirts that I'd say one would be guys like me and you are saying, please turn America into Florida. And then there's the Biden administration saying, please turn America into California. Right? And they're doing it.
And the sad thing is they're actually putting policies in place that push people down, right? So there's a veteran that just lost her own home. She lost her own home because the tenants didn't pay her rent for her rental property.
Unreal.
So the tenants get the, and of course you got de Blasio saying, it's the evil right-wingers. Really?
How about this?
Really?
A group of right-wing extremists.
Right.
And by the way, we have to start targeting these left-wingers as extremists. A group of this is a Mayor Bill de Blasio. What a moron.
The communists.
A group of
left-wing.
right-wing extremists just decided to throw families out of their homes during a global pandemic. This is an attack on working people. No, it's not, Bill.
No.
It's not an attack on working people. This is an attack on working people across our country and city. New York won't stand for this vile, unjust decision. No, you won't, Joe. Or no, you won't, Joe. Bill, Joe.
Difference.
What's the difference, right? No, you won't, Bill. You know what you're going to have? 3 million people in this state just sitting around, sucking off the system, and our biggest problem is labor. Every single place is hiring. It's not working class people. You know what it is? Lazy people,
people
that
don't
want to
work.
suck off the system and don't want to work.
Those are the people that are the never openers, right? Those are the people that have not gone back to work in 18 months. Those are the people that, by the way, Joe Biden just raised their food stamps by 25%. Those are the people that if you had your way, you would extend unemployment indefinitely. Those are the people that you're giving child tax credits now at a monthly basis to, so you can make them dependent on this monthly income stream. Those are the people that
vote
never
Democrat
want to go to work again.
Ever. Those are the people that vote Democrat forever.
That's right.
By the way, do you see what they want to do with this H.R. 4? Talk about dangerous.
No, I didn't see that.
They want to federalize the elections, which we all know that. But it's going to give power to the Department of Justice to put the election poll booths in the districts that they feel need that. i.e. Buffalo, New York, West Williams, Amherst, you're going to go vote on the east side of Buffalo.
That's right.
That's where your poll's going to be. That's what that's going to end up as, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel real safe going over there. No, I better not vote. You know.
Yeah.
They'll get the votes they need. That's who's going to show up there.
Yeah, that'll never go through. I mean, it's fortunately there's the states' rights. I mean, the thing is, the states are going to fight to that. I just don't see that going. But these Democrats, though, you get an idea what they want to throw out there. They'll just keep throwing out,
they'll keep going.
They want to centralize as much power as possible.
And going.
That's right.
This was H.R. 1, right? And some of the moderate Democrats said, now it's H.R. 4. It'll be H.R. 4000. They don't care. They'll just continue to ram it down their throats. And then the Republicans get in office and go, I think we're going to compromise, right? It's amazing. We're talking about the mayor's race in the city of Buffalo. Now you've got Republicans stepping up to try to help Byron Brown, who's going up against a self-proclaimed socialist. Byron Brown has never helped a Republican in his entire life, ever. And by the way, if Byron does win, he's going to do nothing but shift to the left and throw every Republican under the bus.
Absolutely.
The minute he walks and wins that.
He will try to court those same people that voted for India Walton.
Yes.
I want nothing to do with it. Now, I don't dislike Byron. Don't get me wrong.
He's useless.
He's useless. I think he's what's the word for Byron? Byron's a good guy that means well, but he doesn't have a lot upstairs. Let me put it that way. I will say this, though. The
sad thing is it's
he
the
was
only way he
smart
could
enough
win.
to stay out of the way. So he was smart enough to say, development? Okay, go ahead. Where, honest to God, Masiello blocked it. Masiello would have had Ray McGurn in there, who was like, well, I'm going to need $10,000 if I'm going to get this permit through, right? It was so bad under Masiello that you couldn't get anything done in the city of Buffalo. So I will give him credit for putting Rich Tobian as his economic czar and actually getting out of the way.
If you look back at that, the hard control board actually forced him to do that.
Well, that was a big part of it. Huge part of it, right? Absolutely huge part of it. But when I guess, the thing is, it's comparatively, right? When you look at something that is, when you contrast things together, it makes him look good. When you look at Byron versus a polling cars, it's like, wow. He's doing a good job compared to a polling cars, right? I mean, no, seriously.
Who's actually trying to do stuff, but screwing stuff up.
I mean, I'll never forget we had that storm. It was like we had 6 foot of snow at all, and I was stuck in my house. I mean, the snow was up to the top of the garage, right? And I remember, the TV was still on, or I still had something. I don't think I lost power. I did lose my furnace, but not power. So I was watching the press conferences, and they would all get up and take a turn. Como, and then polling cars, and Byron Brown. Byron Brown was the only one who actually stood up and said, okay, here's where we're at cleaning the streets. Here's where we expect to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here's where we expect to be by Friday. Here's what you can expect from us. And he was giving information. Polling cars was like, we're all going to die. He was like, look at all these boats behind me. We need an ark. Somebody's got to build an ark. It was ridiculous, right? So when you contrast the two together, you're like, wow.
Oh, sure.
Byron Brown actually looks pretty impressive.
Right. Yeah. Well, the more you stay out of the way, the more that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Where I criticize Byron is where I criticize most of the Democrats, which is the school system. And you cannot have a successful city unless you have successful school districts.
Right.
And he has done nothing except for call people like Carl Palladino racist and say, stay away from me. And that's a shame because, the development will happen. The Hard Control Board came in. It sort of whacked out a lot of those agencies that were tying stuff up. The Permits and Inspection Department did a good job of that.
Right.
But the school district, just for once, I want to see a Democrat stand up and say our most valuable asset that we have, our children, are getting screwed, and we're going to stop that.
But who
Instead,
writes the
they
bigger
can't.
checks? That's the thing. See, that's what we've been saying for years. Who writes the bigger checks to the Democrat Party? The East Side of Buffalo, the residents, or the school union? School union, right? The Buffalo Teachers Federation.
We're up to $30,000 per kid. My child goes to a private school.
Yeah.
We are not paying $30,000.
Right.
We are not.
Right.
And I assure you, her education is going to be better than Burghart's.
Yeah,
for sure. I assure you.
For sure.
Yeah.
No question about it, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself when you look at these. If I was going to run for that office and I was going to try to, I know we have one of the candidates I believe is coming on a radio show at some point. So the one. Yeah. A write-in candidate.
We don't know his name, so that just shows
think of his name. He's a local business owner. He's a Democrat. He's a local business owner. I give him credit for trying. We'll have him on the radio. But if I'm him, I'm going to the East Side going, listen, guys and girls, what are you not understanding here? Are you in line with the Buffalo teachers? Do you think the Buffalo teachers – now, I'm not saying a lot of the teachers have the best interest of the kids at heart. I will say that. A lot of the teachers have become warped by the system, however. And unfortunately, that is the system that we have, is a warped system, right? But the teachers' union and Phil Rumor will say it directly. I'm not here to represent the children. I'm here to represent the teachers. And they do think that's – when they asked them for 2 more minutes the one year, they went on strike, even though they're not supposed to. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yep.
They don't care about the kids, right? No. So if you're a parent in Buffalo – and you can't afford private schools, you should be advocating for a voucher program. So you can take that, so the money follows your child, and you can take that child and put them into whatever school you think is going to be best for that child. Yeah. But you can't have it both ways. Democrats can't serve both of those masters. So they serve the master who's got the bigger wallet.
Here's what they do in the East Side of Buffalo. First of all, the dad. There is no such thing as dads. I mean, I didn't say one out of maybe 30 families or 30 houses have a dad, right? The Democrats go down there with cash. They actually do. They got a pocket full of cash, and they say, look, here's $10. Here's who we want you to vote for, and we're going to drive you to the polls.
Is that illegal?
Right? It is. Yes, it is. But that doesn't matter. It does. It happens in the East Side of Buffalo, right? And so if you're a Republican, by the way, and you did that, you would be in jail in a heartbeat, right? But the Democrats say,
yeah, nothing to
let's look the other way. So
remember when the assembly leader of the state of New York, Crystal Peoples, violated sales tax and didn't pay her sales tax like she was supposed to? Remember that?
Yeah.
All these Democrats, it's amazing to me. It
really
they
do just the opposite of what they tell everybody else to do.
But now we have 61% of America that's not paying taxes. So what do you think is going to happen, folks? What do you think is going to happen now when 61% of the country says, yeah, go tax them more. I'm not paying anything. You get higher and higher taxes become the norm, right? And people work less and less because you take away the incentive for productive people to work. Right. And you think there's shortages in the stores now. I went to buy paint the other day. I had to buy some spray paint, and half the shelves are bare. Yeah. Half the shelves are bare. What do you mean?
The only thing I can pray is that states like Florida and DeSantis continue to set the example of how to run a state. And we can at least have states that are competitive, right? Yeah. The unemployment rate in Florida has been going down, 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 down. I was talking to my sister-in-law yesterday. She was in Florida 2 weeks ago, and she said, one thing I noticed in Florida was the restaurants seem to have enough staff.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's right. I said, they do. And I'm sure they're still fighting, but they're fighting mainly for a different reason. They're fighting because of explosive growth, right? Florida is adding on 1,000 people a day or whatever it is, and restaurants are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So we need to add, and we need to, because of that growth. They're not there because they're not short because of the massive amounts of welfare there. There's very minimum welfare in the state of Florida. You got to get drug tested. You cap out at like $1,000 a month or a little over that, right? Yeah. There's not a huge incentive to sit at home and do nothing.
That's right.
But the states like New York, California, I've said this time and time again. If we didn't have Florida, New York would still be closed from COVID.
Yeah.
New York, the restaurants would be
think you're
closed.
right.
They would all be out of business. The gyms would still be closed, right? I guess we did win a court case on 2 of them, so that is
I think
that
that's
is
what they
something
want,
to be good
though.
about.
I think that's what they want.
I said that too. I said that
Because
months ago.
They will print
Months
money
ago.
all along and give people PPE, give them stimulus.
Yep.
Right? Nancy Pelosi's this $1,200 will make such a difference for so many families. Really? Most families went out and bought a new flat screen TV with
That's
it.
right.
Nobody
That's
put it
right.
in food and storage.
I thought you meant I think they want the court cases. I actually do think they want the court cases.
No, they want people poor. They want people dependent upon government. They want businesses shut down so that you have to. Remember Bernie Sanders? Breadlines are good. People are eating. It means people get food.
At least they got food.
Otherwise, they starve to death. In a capitalist society,
lost
people starve
19
to death.
pounds
In a
last year,
capitalist
Bernie.
society, people starve to death. We have the largest obesity population in the country.
Right.
And you're going to tell me in a capitalist
the
country,
people
people
not working.
starve, but yet in a socialist country, they're better off like Venezuela, where they've lost, to your point, 19 pounds a year for several straight years.
The most obese people in this country are the ones not working.
Yeah. Let me ask you
the
this.
ones not going to
How
work.
many obese North Koreans are there, Bernie? Right? One. The dictator. That's it.
Yeah.
Morons, these people are, I swear.
No,
I don't understand how people can
it's
look
business.
at Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders and say, even Alyssa Milano, I mean, the dumb of the dumb, right? She's out there. I stand with Joe. How do you even put that out there without absolutely embarrassing yourself? I stand with Joe. He just left 300 Americans behind. Joe, in 7 months, has botched everything. Gas prices are higher. The border's
Food
wide
prices.
open. COVID is surging across, the Delta variant. Now we have ISIS K. I guess a special blend. What is that ISIS K? Is that like new and improved? It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's new and improved. All right. Watch and see what's going to happen.
Disaster.
Afghanistan is going to be the biggest Taliban ISIS hotbed in the world.
We're
Watch
trusting
and see
the
the
Taliban.
damage they're going to do.
Let's see. Not as if we have any experience with these folks. Let's see. The last time we trusted the Taliban, they blew up 3,000 people on 9/11, right? The Twin Towers, a plane in Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon.
They're no different
and
now.
Then
they're no different.
Then they
this is not a different Taliban.
They wouldn't turn over to the Al Qaeda.
They didn't go to some education camp and come out as as the finest of human beings. They're still burning women.
Yeah.
They're still killing everybody in their way.
I got to say
this is going to.
This is, and they blame this on Bush, right? Bush's fault. I'll tell you where Bush went wrong, and I will admit this. Bush made a mistake of saying we're going to go into a country where they live in caves and we're going to try to create democracy. That was Bush's biggest mistake, was trying to spread democracy throughout the world. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The mission should have been kill as many Afghan Taliban cave-dwelling 7th century knuckle-dragging Neanderthals as you possibly can.
Cleanse them out.
Just kill them all, put them in a hole. I don't care. Get them out, because that's what these people are never going to. Oh, we're going to have a full and fair election. Are you serious?
No. Yeah, right.
I mean, they're tribes. Right? You're going to have a civil war there. It's going to be massive. I think.
I read an article before that they burned a woman alive. They burned her alive because they didn't like her cooking.
Yes,
these are not. These are disgusting human beings.
Right.
These are monsters.
These are monsters, absolutely animals and monsters, and they should have been exterminated. Not, we're going to nation build. That was Trump's mistake. That was Trump and Cheney. We're going to nation build. We should have picked another strongman, said you're in charge, and if you treat people and you burn women, we're going to blow you up completely, and we're going to replace you with another strongman that we think is going to.
You won't even have a cave to live in. Yep.
What a joke. Anyway.
All right, sir. All right, let's wrap it up. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, Financial Guys. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. We need all the conservative likes we can get. Don't forget about iHeartRadio, radio.com. All of this can be found on our website at thefinancialguys.com, thefinancialguys.com. So, again, make sure you try to follow us the best you can. We love all the support, and we got to get that conservative message out there to try to have a fighting chance of winning something, folks, all right? If you do want us to manage money, that's what we do for a living. If you think like us, we get to work with people Monday through Friday that think like us. Offices, Rochester, New York, Batavia, New York. Batavia is growing like crazy, by the way. I love it. Love to see all the Batavia folks out there. Williamsville, New York, and down in South Florida. So for those of you leaving the communist state of New York and before they build the wall to keep you in, we do have financial planners down in South Florida, the Jupiter, Florida area, Palm Beach area. But Florida's an easy place to get around. So make sure you use our team as a resource. One more time, thefinancialguys.com. All right. We'll see you Saturday on iHeartRadio, radio.com app. Take care.